And I would like to read to the end of Ruth chapter 2. It says this. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered him, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his servant, who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" So the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered and said, "It is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." And she said, "Please, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves." So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "You will listen, my daughter, will you not? Do not go to glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close by my young women. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Have I not commanded the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessel and drink from what the young men have drawn." So she fell on her face and bowed down to the ground and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" And Boaz answered and said to her, "It has been fully reported to me all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people whom you did not know before. The Lord repay your work, and a full reward be given you by the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge." Then she said, "Let me find favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me and have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants." Now Boaz said to her at the mealtime, "Come here, eat of the bread, and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar." So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed parched grain to her, and she ate and was satisfied and kept some back. And when she rose up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. Also let grain from the bundles fall purposefully for her. Leave it, that she may glean, and do not rebuke her." So she gleaned in the field until evening, and beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. Then she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. So she brought out and gave to her what she had kept back after she had been satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, "Where have you gleaned today? And where did you work? Blessed be the one who took notice of you." So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, "The man's name with whom I work today is Boaz." Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "Blessed be he of the Lord, who has not forsaken his kindness to the living and the dead." And Naomi said to her, "This man is a relation of ours, one of our close relatives." Ruth the Moabitess said, "He also said to me, 'You shall stay close by my young men until they have finished all my harvest.'" And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young women, and that the people do not meet you in any other field." So she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean until the end of barley harvest and wheat harvest, and she dwelt with her mother-in-law. As we're introduced to Boaz, again, just getting an opening introduction into this man's character, he's a wealthy person that cares for the people that work for him. Again, as someone that's had the privilege of working for a wide range of people, I will tell you, not everyone I have worked for in my life cared that I existed. Like, they were glad the work was getting done, but some people viewed the person working wherever I was working at that moment, they were there to be doing the work and not be spoken to. If I can just say this again simply, Boaz obviously is not that person. He is wealthy enough, he does not need to be in the field. He may also be of the age where he is not going to be putting in a full day's work of harvesting like back in the old days. And the idea you get that he might be considerably older than Ruth is going to be he calls her daughter. The idea there is likely he is old enough to be her father. Again, we are never told ages, so we're making a little bit of assumption there, or I'm making an assumption, you may not be. But I would make the guess that Boaz is not 25 when the story is taking place. Boaz comes and he doesn't just greet his people, he greets them with a gracious greeting from God. This is a man who cares about a relationship with God. He's a God-fearing Jew. Which again, all Jews should have been God-fearing, but we recognize not all of them were or are even to this day. And as he's talking to the man in charge of the harvesters, the guy that's overseeing this particular field, he notices that there's a young lady he doesn't know. Or normally isn't there, at least. And so he asks, who's the woman? And the harvester said, Ruth, and now we get to find out a little bit about Ruth. She came up to me and asked permission to harvest. Again, Jewish law required that she be allowed. She doesn't need to ask, at least legally. She's being overly gracious. Again, it may be culture. She is not assuming. And the man in charge of the reaper says that she's been at it all morning. She's been diligent. There was a little bit of time she went into the shade for a few minutes, but for the most part, she has been out here all morning. She's been busy. And Boaz says, okay. Boaz goes over and speaks to her and says, you're welcome in this field. I wonder how many people, again, just as a side light, I wonder how many people in Ruth's experience in Bethlehem had actually talked to her. You kind of get the idea it's not a lot. That she was kind of used to about people talking about her, not to her. If you've ever been in that situation, it's very, very awkward. She's the new person, and everybody's going, who's that? Can you believe she came back? But Boaz walks right up to her. Says, you're welcome here. Walks right up to her and says, stay here. Keep working here. You can even go among the reapers. Again, what was normal is that people who are not working for the boss have to stay back. When the boss's people clean up a ways, you can come behind them and see if they missed anything. Again, just to put that in my world, this is like picking blueberries after 10 people have picked in front of you. It's just not good. You're walking along going, boy, I hope they missed something. You're not going to pick a lot. And so normally when a person is gleaning behind, the harvesters, you got the harvesters, they're knocking down the barley. You've got the ladies behind that are being paid that are gathering it up, putting it in bundles and getting it to some sort of cart to take off to thresh. And then anything they miss, these poor people are picking up after them. That's Ruth. And Boaz tells her, you can get in among them. It's okay. And then privately to them, he says, don't just, I told her she could get in here. You actually cut it down. You see her, she's near you. You leave extra. You make it really easy for her. He didn't need to do that. That was very unnecessary. Just come from a kind heart. When it's time for lunch and his men stop to eat, he invites her to eat. And he gives her an abundant amount that she could eat for lunch. And we learned something again about Ruth. She doesn't gorge herself. She eats till she's satisfied, and then she saves some so she can take it home to her mother-in-law so that her mother-in-law can have supper. And then she gets back to work. And again, the fact that Boaz is able to talk to the reapers is because the reapers aren't done with lunch yet. And Ruth's already back out in the field. This lady works. Boaz is concerned about more than profit. Ruth is working not just because she's hungry and wants to get enough food for today. She's working realizing that they need food into the future, and she's going to do all she can to use her time well. Boaz promises Ruth that she will not be molested by anyone. He promises her protection. He says, anyone that touches you will answer to me. Again, a single woman who was poor and had no help would be an easy person to take advantage of out in the field. And Boaz says, not on my field. Ruth is, again, to put it simply, very surprised at all the graciousness that Boaz has shown. She's overwhelmed. Boaz makes a really neat statement about Ruth in verse 12. He says, Ruth has placed herself under the wing of God. When Ruth made the decision to come back with Naomi, it wasn't just to be with Naomi. She was forsaking the gods of Moab and placing herself under the protection of a God that even Naomi wasn't sure was worth following. And Boaz said, God protect you, commend you, and bless you because of of what you've done in placing yourself under the one true God. Just once she's done picking up everything, she's not done for the day. She has to go and thresh out. Again, I'm not a farmer. I'll try to just explain this really basic to you. You know, the barley comes as part of a stalk. You now need to beat the stalk and so that you get the barley grain. You don't want the barley stalk. And so you beat the stalk and so you get the barley out and then you throw the other stuff away. And so she does that, and after she's done threshing it out, she brings home an ephah of barley. Now I guarantee all of you know exactly what an ephah is. Okay, maybe not. An ephah is a half a bushel. Again, I measure things in bushels all the time, so that doesn't even help me. This does help me. An ephah is about the size of a milk crate. Now we're talking, because I've got milk crates. So again, when she comes home with her grain, she's got a milk crate full of grain. That's quite a day's work. From what I understand, 2 people would be able to eat on that for over a week. So in one day, she has gotten over a week's worth of food for them as the poor lady, which is very, very impressive. And it's so impressive that when she walks in, Naomi looks at her and says, somebody helped you. Like, you can't do that. Like, that you didn't just happen across. Like, that's not normal. That's way more than normal. How did God smile on you today? And she says, I picked a field because I needed to pick one, and it happened to be this guy by the name of Boaz. And she goes, Boaz. And again, I don't know if she's thinking matchmaker at this point, but I see a glint in her eye, like, I forgot Boaz. And Ruth says, he said to keep coming back. He said that I'm welcome in his field the whole time. And she said, that'd be a good idea. You keep in his field. Don't go anywhere else. You don't want to be seen in another field. You stay right there. That's an excellent spot. And the chapter closes with hope. We don't know where this hope is going, but there's hope. All right, again, I pause. Any questions, comments, thing you would add? Okay. So think about application for you and I, switching from 1,400 years before Christ or 1,200 years before Christ, somewhere in there, till today. I don't think this chapter is about a man being kind or a woman being a hard worker as far as the point that we're supposed to get. I think both of those things are interesting, and as I think about them, I recognize that Boaz is an unbelievable example of graciousness. Ruth is an unbelievable example of hard work, but these chapters are not about, man, go be gracious like Boaz, or go be a hard worker like Ruth. As we're moving through the story, there is an obvious hand of God is orchestrating events. And so as you're working through the story, the thing that it's become more and more evident as you move from chapter 1 and chapter 2 is even when people don't see any hope or any possibility, God is working. And his hand can be counted on. This is not random chance. Have you ever had a day where you think, man, that was really lucky that I saw him today? I've said that before. And then I've had to say, you know what? I don't think that was luck. I think God wanted me to meet that person today. God has a plan, and people are being moved by a powerful God. The God of Ruth, Naomi, and Boaz is our God as well. And as I apply it to me today, I do believe that